Earlier on, 99%
Exactly.
of businesses are all comprising of micro MSMEs,
Yeah,
and they account for 65% of all employment in the country. So you guys are really serving the right community.
What's your proof
From
of
my
income?
experience, yeah.
Where do you keep your money?
Yeah.
They will lead us at the back of their house, dig up a hole, and their money is stuck.
That's a true story.
That's true.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a
yeah.
true story.
You know how much loan that we lend? It's like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000.
Okay.
These
MSME,
are
yeah.
the type of clients who are usually like tricycle drivers,
Yep.
sari store owners,
Yep.
carinderia owners, in which like major banks do not want to invest on these guys. Expect a millennial or a Gen Z filling up a 3-page application form.
Yeah.
Or even if it's if it's in on a digital format, you cannot expect them, all right, to be filling it out. So the challenge is how do you make it easy for them? No? So for me, I have this point of view of how do you make it easier for them by leveraging to AI.
When you read the mainstream media, the implementation of AI always is side by side to number of jobs that are being cut.
Yep.
Right? So I don't want to frame it that way because I think that's the wrong perception that we're trying to, the narrative that's being put out there, I don't think is accurate. Hi everyone, welcome back, and I'm joined again by Sir Donald Chiong and Sir Jeff David for our second basically segment of our Finteq Frontier podcast in continuation from our first segment. So early on we touched on a host of issues and topics about the roadmap, digital transformation roadmap or RFC, the digital transformation activities that they've been doing over the past 4 years since they implemented the new core system in 2021. And also, I think Sir Donald and Sir Jeff shared a lot of insights about the good things and the challenging environment and the innovations that they are developing within the organization to try and keep up pace with the technological advancement that's being felt throughout this country by the financial institutions. So now we're going to segue a little bit into a particular topic that is very interesting, and I think it's basically dominating the headlines recently globally. Okay, and we're about to go deep dive a little bit further into the application of artificial intelligence and what does the technology in terms of its applications, in terms of its practicality from the viewpoint of the financial industry and the practitioners in the industry. What are they thinking about it? Are they thinking about implementing it in the near future, or have they already have some ideas about what to implement, where, which department, etc. So we're going to dive into that and see whether we can help articulate the movement in this particular technological area, and whether we can help you decipher what are relevant use cases that's practical for financial institutions to implement, because there's a lot of concern when it comes to artificial intelligence. For example, the top that I can think of is data privacy, AI application or use cases that we could possibly implement looking at the landscape of the Philippines, and maybe implement it in a way where we can bridge gaps and also to be able to provide better solutions or better products to your customer base, or maybe to innovate new products that will be more relevant to the growing market of maybe the millennials and the Gen Zs, which will be the future customers of Radiowealth Finance Company. Okay, so I would like to start off with the first question to Sir Donald. So I'm pretty sure you have read a lot about articles about artificial intelligence and how other financial institutions, maybe in abroad, in other countries, have applied it. Maybe you could just share a little bit of what exposure do you have of this technology and what do you think of it, and whether any ideas came up to your mind in terms of how you're going to implement it, or you have any notion of implementing it for RFC in the near future?
Sure. Yes, I've been probably exposed to a lot of areas where AI can improve the operations of a typical company, especially in financing. To put it into a realistic perspective is looking at what we have today and how AI can improve certain sectors in our operations, and what would be the most important sector that we'd like to improve on using AI. And what interests me is in the area of being able to, we live and die in terms of the number of, the volume of applications that we receive. And AI allows, in some manner, allows us to generate that even more by also expediting the information that you gather from the client.
Absolutely.
Without the client even knowing it, and consolidating that to the format that your system would be able to receive it and thereby process the application faster. We do have, over the years, we have developed a number of channels. Of course, branches would be one channel where we receive applications, but we also developed a large agency force in the last couple of years. And, you get tons and tons of applications. Each one would always be a priority by each agent, but you have limited resources in terms of the people that will process it. So we're looking at AI to be able to filter that based on the kind of applications that we approve historically, the kind of loans that would perform better. And that's, I think, would be a key contributor for any system that uses AI that can assist in that manner. And to provide also the information immediately to the one that's providing that application, that lead. Because you have to always consider that each potential client may not be a client today, but may be a client tomorrow.
Yes.
So even if he may not fit the parameters of what you are approving today, may be approvable in some time in the future. So you don't want to burn the bridges and be able to provide the rightful response to the client that he or she will not be turned off and come back to you when he's ready. So that's important. Because
good point.
even if the market is huge, it will diminish later on. And the market is huge, but there is a smaller market that will just fit into the kind of business that you would like to serve.
Yes.
And in many areas, like also processing, how does AI allow us to process the applications faster? But at the end is also where we are interested in, because we want to be able to use technology, and AI has proposed many ways of how we dispense loans, how we receive collections, which is really the heart and soul of also of our business, to make sure that we collect them, collect payments on time, collect them at the right place also, and to ensure that we protect ourselves also, because yes, there are a lot of scams, there are a lot of fraud, and we should be able to monitor payments on a real-time basis. I've spoken about this many times over. Not all payments come on time, and for AI to be able to provide that information and determine if each account has a different kind of pattern, that we will have to probably set alarms or red flags and immediately address that. A lot of the problems that some finance companies realize even today is we only find that out after several months, which probably is too late already.
Yes.
And that's where we like such intelligence to be able to give that information on a real-time basis to the decision makers, to the ones that will be able to redirect, focus, and to address these concerns.
Very valid points. I think that is very realistic use of innovation, and I'm very excited actually to be living in this current state of innovation and technological advancement by AI. Why did I say that? Is because all the examples that you have mentioned just now, can be related to saving time, where previously the human resources cannot accomplish. So we know that humans are the smartest species on Earth, right? But when you have an organization that is filled with thousands of people, everyone has their own set task. But if you are dealing with economies of scale, where, for example, RFC is in a very good position, for example, that you mentioned just now, you guys receive tons of applications on a daily basis. So if individuals are processing those applications, they are subject to human errors, they are subject to human constraints in terms of focus, ability to do the so-called manual processing quickly. If the volume increase, so the general traditional business model is you increase the manpower.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you increase your business, you increase your cost. So and technology has always been used in a way to reduce costs for very, I would say, companies that have already achieved economies of scale. Okay, like for example RFC. And another factor is where technology bridges the gap in terms of cost efficiency is turnaround time. So what do I mean by turnaround time? It means time value of money. A lot of people, especially those people that we are trying to impart financial literacy to or financial education to, is I always like to tell people that time is money.
Yeah.
So the right way to look at technology when you want to implement it anywhere, whether it can be our personal life or whether it's going to be for an organization or of any sorts, okay, across any industry, we always look at one determining factor. Will it save me time?
Yeah.
So if it saves me time, it makes me more efficient. If it makes me more efficient, means two things. I can produce more or I could save more.
Yeah.
So these are the general metrics that I normally use, and these are the questions that I normally ask. Whether if I want to implement a technology, even for myself, for my own personal productivity applications, I will ask myself, did it save me time after I use it? All right, and if it does, how far can I take it? And what's the value that it created for me?
Internal efficiency definitely is very important.
Yes.
And it does drive down costs, which builds up better margins, right?
Yep.
But in the business that RFC is, remember, we are serving the middle market.
And yep.
And we are not necessarily the cheapest. To be able to drive volume is speed.
Yep.
Speed. So not only are we concerned of internal efficiency, but to be able to drive volume by meeting customer expectations in the market that we're serving today. So,
Yes.
brought about also by competition. Fintech companies from end to end, they provide that approval, the release within ours. And we need to be able to somehow compete in that area. So, and that is very important. Turnaround time is a measure that we live and die
Yes.
right now.
So I would like to expand a little bit about what you just mentioned in terms of the turnaround time. Now, this is very critical because earlier on, you did mention that, so Jeff actually mentioned that nowadays the younger consumers that you guys are also serving has little patience, that you mentioned earlier on, Sir Donald, that they have very little patience to fill up 2 to 3
Three things
pages.
that matters.
Yes.
Okay? Three things that matters for us. I'll give you a millennial point of view.
Okay.
Three things that matters to us. Okay. EFC. All right. Easy, fast, and convenient.
Okay.
All right. Easy meaning for millennials, for Gen Zs like us, right? Like us, no. You cannot expect a millennial or a Gen Z filling up a 3-page application form.
Yeah.
Right? Or even if it's if it's on a digital format, you cannot expect them, all right, to be filling it out, say in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe 30 seconds or 10 or a minute at least, no?
At most, yeah.
That's at the most already, no? So the challenge is, how do you make it easy for them, no? So for me, I have this point of view of how do you make it easier for them by leveraging to AI. You know, a while ago, or actually in the previous episode, we talked about how gold is the data, right?
Yeah.
So right now here in the Philippines, I don't know, probably in Malaysia, it's much more, I would say, there's probably a much more organized data. But here in the Philippines, here's the problem is, each company, they actually maintain their own databases, which are databases probably coming from legacy systems. Like for example, in our case, we are 62 years old already. We have databases from our old legacy system. The problem is that these are unorganized data. And then you can also, again, source other data from other data sources. Let's say, for example, for like public domain or something, or maybe even government agencies. Like for example, the social security system, what else? Bill health, and even your
Yes.
probably your HDMF. Right? So the problem with all of this, you have multiple different sources, but you cannot actually aggregate it.
Yeah, there's no single source of
There's no
truth.
single source of
Yes,
the
yes.
opportunity that I can actually see in here is that if AI will be able to do some data aggregation,
Yes.
meaning combining all of these data sources, whether it's from legacy, it's from your current system, it's from outside external databases like government platforms or whatnot. If you can actually aggregate that and form a profile, a customer profile, which would actually cross-reference to the customer input. And then so immediately, it's actually making it easier, the customer experience far easier because
Yes.
the customer now just needs to fill in like very super minimal data, and then the profile gets populated already. So to me, that's actually easy. All right. So that's probably the definition of easy for me. All
I
right?
think that's
Or
very
millennials,
valid.
yeah.
That's a very valid comment because looking at what you mentioned just now is that AI is able to actually translate what we call raw data, right? Basically, to set the parameters with the experience that RFC has, we are able to set a parameters to model an engine
Yes.
that will be able to come up with a persona, what an ideal
That customer profile.
lender will look like in this segment and be able to basically slice and dice however you want it.
And that will actually bring you to the next criteria. You have easy now, you have to be fast.
Yes.
You can be fast, you can actually be faster actually. If you have all of this persona, this customer profile,
Yes.
and you can actually, I would say, design a particular, like an engine or a credit scoring
Yes.
model, and even identify, like for example, what's your risk appetite.
Yes.
Okay, so that it will make the lending far much more better and
Yes.
far easier. Yeah.
So we would, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be actually delving into this topic because then with AI, there can be a much more efficient lending system developed or lending scoring developed where you can even create products that are risk-based
Yes.
and adjust accordingly.
Or actually based on your risk appetite.
Yes, risk appetite or, you know,
And out of that risk appetite, you can actually now create your own pricing model.
yes.
So it's more like a niche market. I mean, it's gearing towards niche market, particularly.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting.
It's more like a slice and dice thing.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. This is a very interesting topic which I'd like to expand a little bit. So that means, with a proper use of technology and AI, we could even come up with a product where it's risk adjusted.
Yeah.
And that means the consumer in the future, probably in the near distant future, will be able to enjoy, let's say, maybe he does not have a great financial track history, but RFC decides to lend it to him anyway at a small portion, smaller than what he wanted. Let's say he or she wants a 100,000 peso loan.
No, that's even high. You know, we have a use case for that.
Okay.
In the RFC, okay, we started this campaign, the way campaign. The way is actually geared towards the micro enterprises.
Okay.
Yeah. You know how much loan that we lend? It's like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000.
Okay.
These
MSME,
are
yeah.
the type of clients who are usually like tricycle drivers,
Yep.
store owners,
Yep.
carinderia owners, in which like major banks do not want to invest on these guys. Right?
Yes.
So RFC, because of our experience, because it's a combination of, it's a hybrid model. There's still brick and mortar, while at the same time leveraging on our initial digital technology transformation touch base. So we're able to lend to this type of particular segment of the market.
And they are the biggest. As
Exactly.
mentioned earlier on, 99%
Exactly.
of businesses are all comprising of micro MSMEs.
Yeah.
And they account for 65% of all employment in the country. So you guys are really serving the right communities.
And you cannot approach it like traditionally, where Then you evaluate a client. You ask for financial statements. They're
because-
just gonna stare you at the face.
Yeah,
What
because they
financial
don't-
statements. They don't
They,
have.
they don't even know how to
Yeah, and
do one.
what's your proof?
From-
Where do you keep your money?
Yeah.
They will lead us at the back of their house, dig up a hole, and their money is stuck.
That's a true story.
That's true.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
true
yeah.
story.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they even send us pictures of the money that they have there. And your capability to analyze that variety should be built in so that
Yes.
you're able to serve more customers. It takes time to evaluate manually. You can do it, but it takes time. And again,
Yeah.
speed is of utmost
Yeah.
importance. So
Yeah.
if AI is able to provide that analytics depending on the variety of raw data that you get, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I find it very interesting is because number one, as a lending company, your core principles and the community that you're serving is already indicating to me that you guys actually are what we call empathetic lenders compared to some other organization. They are very number driven. So a lot of bigger banks, they tend not to go into this segment is because they look at it as a very risky
Yeah,
segment.
And
Yes.
too much market
And-
for small
Correct.
loans.
Exactly. But where you guys, it's very different because that's your bread and butter, that's your expertise, and you've grown successfully because of that particular segment. And I believe the people are also very grateful and loyal to the brand name
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
Because I've spoken to some of my local friends here, Pinoy, and when I did mention the company name of RFC, they say, "Oh, my parents took a loan from that
Yeah, I usually
institution
get that
before."
remark.
I was thinking, yeah, that makes sense because you guys are 62 years old, right? My parents makes me feel old also, right? At the same time, I say, hey, what? Your parents? Oh, okay.
What's even funnier is we come across people who would say, not just they got a loan, but hey, my parents worked for RFC. So that's funny.
Yeah, that's the contribution. I think overall, I mean, lends a lot of credence to the actual brand of RFC. And I think also what's very interesting to me is that you have a mixture of, I would say, the old guard. I consider myself the old guard because we are quite similar in age. And then you have the uprising, millennial, okay, to put it more precisely. So I think that's a good combination and blend in terms of your focus and your transformation. It's not only purely digital, but it's also from a human capital perspective. So from that instances, I can see that you guys are very forward thinking. You guys are already preparing what's going to be like the next 5 years. You've already charted your course, and then technology that comes along the way, you are very open to it. And I think AI will help you bridge a lot of gaps that because of a unique country like Philippines is, what we touch on, the disjointed credit bureaus, although data is available, however, there's no single source of truth. And I think this is a great opportune moment that we can look at technology to help maybe solve some of these harder challenges that I think the regulators and the people in government have been trying to solve for, I don't know, past decade or so.
Another challenge in microlending is how fast you are in evaluating particular documentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Because in microlending, you tend to rely still with a lot of documentation.
Yes.
Right? So, and in microlending, you don't expect them to have like an audited financial statement.
Yes.
So what will they provide you is actually the list of their sales in a piece of paper.
Yes.
Written on a daily basis. So the challenge for you now is you want it to be fast, all right? So you want it to be you wanted it to be easy and fast. Okay, how do you make it easy and fast? If AI could also be able to, let's say for example, even at the raw documents, the handwritten one.
Yes.
If you can actually use AI and translate those into like numbers or figures.
Yes.
Right? And then from there you can actually make a decision.
Yep. Yep, that's the most relevant use case that we can touch on because I know many big banks in Malaysia have already done that, and the matrix that come out from the efficiency of that is that they're able to basically translate a lot of hard copy materials, supporting documents, quickly transfer digitally and able to load that up into the engine, and straight away you get a credit score out of that.
Yes.
And also they are able to recognize patterns as well.
Yeah.
to the point whereby they can also detect fraud from that instance.
Yes.
Because
More
there's-
importantly,
yes, certain fields that have been highlighted to be, I would say, places to look for anomalies.
Yeah.
So the AI can actually see that as long as you develop the engine in a proper manner. Okay, so that's one of the positive use cases as well. So you're able to basically process higher volume of hard copy documents in instances like in the Philippines where they write a lot of stuff for you because they don't have the financial track record.
Yeah.
And those are the communities that you're serving. So that will be probably translated to a tremendous amount of value in terms of time saving, efficiency to process the loan application, and of course the customer experience.
yeah.
Well, you add accuracy.
Accuracy,
Because
yes.
if you go through that tons and tons, you will have inconsistencies.
Absolutely.
And the expertise that you will have to hire just to process all these documents, it's going to be difficult. So you won't be able to get that consistency and accuracy that you would have to expect from all these applications. That we
Yeah. So
processed.
from that standpoint, that's why I'm very excited, to be always collaborating with RFC through you, Sir Donald, and Sir Jeff. Talking about all these use cases and ideas, because I think you guys are on the right path, and I think this is the next thing that you guys are thinking about, isn't it? Where you mentioned that earlier on, you mentioned that the board was actually looking into the challenges of implementing AI or the relevance of implementing AI and being a competitive factor around, where who can adopt it first and who can lead the way first,
Yes.
right?
We try to build ourselves a roadmap in technology over the next 5 years, and that proves to be difficult because next year there's a new
The
technology that comes
environment
about.
change, yeah.
So you can only look as far as probably a few months ahead and try to acquire what you can acquire and improve.
But from my personal experience implementing AI tools, using AI tools for my own productivity, and also using it in a way to churn out a financial analysis and giving me a pattern to help me connect the dots from a data perspective, it has been tremendous and life-changing to my scope of work. And I think for a large financial institution, I know for a fact that you will drive at least minimum across the board 20% better efficiency. This is a rough number that I'm using, 20%. Because I don't want to overstate it, but let's start with something that is more, I would say, an average number. But 20%, let's say 20% cost savings across the organization with economies of scale at play. I think that would be a tremendous bonus. It can be a bonus to the performance KPIs of everybody in the organization. And that savings can also be a bonus to also reward the human capital force that's doing well in the organization in a positive manner.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to frame use of AI as a negative terminology, because when you read the mainstream media, the implementation of AI always is side by side to number of jobs that are being cut.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want to frame it that way because I think that's the wrong perception that we're trying to, the narrative that's being put out there, I don't think is accurate. Because I believe that if it's used responsibly in a way that will enrich people's life and enhance people's performance and productivity, I think these are the things that I think we need to focus on as an organization. Then at least the roadmap going forward offers more clarity to everybody in the organization, rather than you have people who are FOBO, fear of being obsolete, that terminology, FOBO.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree on the perception where technology or AI cuts jobs. I would think it creates opportunities.
To enhance them, right?
Yes, it challenges now the organization to divert that workforce to another field, because there will always be a need for workforce in other areas and fields. So if they're able to anticipate that well, they provide the right training for these people so that they are able to divert their skill sets to other areas where the organization needs it, where AI is not yet promptly used. And that, I think, is the misconception of all most organizations. And but management has to lead that way.
Yes.
Because if they look at that as purely cost savings, then that's a mistake.
Yes.
Because it's still the biggest, the best asset of the company is always the workforce.
Fantastic. Well said, well put. So that's a very interesting point that you made there, and that comes from a very empathetic core that you have. I think probably from your own persona as well. But I think that's a very valid point. And I think AI for me, okay, I like to use myself as an example because I believe that you can't talk about something unless you actually experience it yourself. So it goes back to leadership by example, right? So you're saying that the workforce is important and that you had to really invest in the people in terms of upskilling them with the right tools, okay, so that they can able to do their job well and far more efficiently in a manner that's more intelligent. So having said that, as the president and CEO of RFC, internally, have you developed a kind of like a training plan already? How you're going to be basically upskilling all of the employees in RFCs to be able to meet up with all these challenges and huge, what do you call that, acceleration of technology changes within the region, although maybe Philippines is a bit behind. But do you have that plan already set in motion, crafted?
But yeah, there's a lot of transformation that is needed, especially when we have to change our loan management system to a new one. There's a lot of training, change cultures, change habit, how we process things, and a lot of training is introduced there, and training doesn't stop. Training will never stop because you will have still turnover. You will have to train the new workforce coming in, and then changes to the system where you have to retrain your people. Training is a challenge for any organization, knowing that it is very important, essential, but sometimes resources are limited. So we try to adopt using, again, technology. The pandemic has allowed us or introduced us the way of going online with our personnel. So gone are the days where you train your people face to face, call everyone in, especially if you are branched like we are nationwide.
Yes.
It's so expensive bringing people in one place. So we try to use online training as much as possible. It's still different if it's done face to face. So we try to pick the ones that are important and have to be delivered face to face and the ones that are online.
Yeah.
Again, it's dependent on resources, dependent also on the amount of workforce you have, because operations cannot stop and while others are being trained.
Yes.
So you will have to fill in the gap while the others are being trained. So it's always a constant interaction and challenge between HR operations, that HR wants to pull out the people for training, but operation does not want to, and we cannot afford to. So again, you have to do rescheduling and pick the right time.
But I think interestingly, looking at it from I always like to look at things from a very positive perspective. But I think technology has actually enriched our life in many ways. And COVID, what we experienced through COVID is that it has accelerated the process. Yes. So I think if I'm not mistaken, digitization because of COVID pandemic has accelerated the timeline by at least 3 years.
Yes.
In terms of adoption, okay? Yeah. In terms of adoption.
If you look at it from the brighter side.
Yes. So yeah, I mean the naysayers will always be naysayers, but
yeah, because we've been forced to actually just adapt.
Yeah, which is
you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
during
so,
pandemic.
Exactly. So with everybody else's complaint, losing their freedom, I have to put the mask mandate and everything. But I think the positive thing is that it made a lot of it. In fact, it made most industries became more efficient in the use of technology to communicate and to be able to execute without actually, having to meet face to face.
You know the best use case for that one. It's the online meetings versus the face-to-face meeting.
Yes.
Prior pandemic, right? It's more like taboo when you do online meetings.
Yeah.
Or that work from home thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to report to your work on an 8 to 5 basis at the very least. But since during pandemic, we're not allowed to go out, and there's no other way, but you can just to do your thing or your work at the convenience of your home and use online meetings, then there we are.
Yeah.
We just basically adapted.
So the way I look at it is that it's positive because a large organization like RFC, for example, I'm just using RFC as an example, is because it gives the management more options right now for modes of communication.
And I think it's more
from an operational perspective.
Yeah, operational efficiency is still the best. I would say first and foremost consideration, because let's say for example right now we have about 150 branches nationwide. Okay, just look at it in this perspective. If you want to meet all of them, put them on one venue, how expensive and time
Yes,
consuming it is.
absolutely, man. Yeah,
Rather
yeah,
than
yeah.
just schedule a meeting online and then do like a 30-minute talk. And
Yes,
then everything is cascaded.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Information, you mentioned information is definitely key in any organization, from the top to the probably the frontliners. And I have a monthly, we call it the State of the Nation address.
Okay, Sona.
Yeah, so and this was not done before, no? Pre-pandemic,
Yeah.
and we now use that. Every month we update every personnel, so everybody gets online, and just like this, I address and we update of what has happened this past month and what we should do and what's the direction moving forward in the next few months, and reminding everyone what our targets are for the year, and that there are certain branches that are performing better than the others, and the others should perform much better, and that allows us to keep everyone informed.
Yes.
And
And motivated, actually.
motivated. Yeah.
Communication is key to actually drive a certain culture. I believe that constant communication, especially from leadership, is very critical for the, I would say subordinate, but for the downliners or up to the frontliners.
Yeah.
Right? Because with communication, then the leaders are able to do that. It's compared to when prior, like if you guys have to travel to 150 locations to talk to everybody individually, like what Sir Jeff was saying, it's going to be so expensive, right? But at the same time, right now, it's being accepted that, okay, I can call you via Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams call, right? Or internally, you guys are using LARC, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many options. But I think what is important message that I want to share, we want to share with our audience is that technology is actually can be used for good, can also be used for bad. But for any leadership team, I believe that we should always use technology for things that we can improve, to improve people's lives. Number one, lives of the employees via productivity, enhancing their skill set, or lives of our customers. Which means we offer them more value, more convenience, and quicker processing time, which is convenience
Which is
also.
our company mission, actually.
Absolutely, right?
Improving people's lives.
Yeah, so this is the actual best way also relating to AI also. It can be also used for good. You have proponent for AI, and then you got the naysayer that's worried that there will be a doomsday being accelerated by AI for the human race, right? But from a financial industry perspective, I think I'm excited for the industry. I'm also excited for RFC because you have a very open-minded and I would say technologically savvy management team. Not the typical one that are still behind, that don't really understand what AI is all about and how to apply it. Whereas when I speak to you guys, I get the feeling that you guys know already, have been thinking about it for some time, and even have use cases in your mind already, which is very positive. Being in the Philippines, having a very large market to serve, and great potential for upside. So it seems like the cards are being dealt in the right manner, in your favor, on what you want to use technology for and how you're going to take RFC to the next level to provide that EFC thing that you're talking about. Is it EFC? Did I get it right?
Easy, fast, and convenient.
Yes.
Easy, fast, and convenient.
So EFC, so AI for EFC. Can I coin it like that?
Yeah.
AI for EFC, right? So fantastic, right? So great. So having said that, I think any other insights that you'd like to provide for, especially being, I would classify RFC as a leader in the microfinance industry. And having touched on very complicated subject matter today, is there anything that you would like to tell the audience?
I have another thing in my mind. What I have been observing for the last how many years, that AI for basically the financial industry is more like a focus on if you will put it on the IPO perspective, okay, it's more focusing on the input, on the customer onboarding side. How do you make it easy for customer to actually onboard or to get a loan? And then the second is how fast can you actually process that loan, okay? But I think what is actually missing for this for the financial industry is that account management part. I haven't seen any AI tool that would actually give you an insight. Hey, these are the accounts that's just actually used to pay before on this particular day with this amount, but now are not paying. Just imagine if you can actually just get those insights.
Insights, yes.
Yes. And then it can actually work to your advantage because you don't actually, there's no need now to do some data crunching, every now and then download reports, make your data analytics team to analyze it for you, which will actually just typically consume like a half day at the very least before you can actually get all these insights.
Yes.
But if you have an AI that would actually be focusing on no longer on the customer onboarding, no longer on the loan servicing, no longer on the loan processing, but it's more now on the account management side.
Yeah, which means you're basically referring to collections. Yeah, that's also very important for
Collections and account management.
for
Account
micro
management
lender,
in general.
Correct, because collection translates to actually the ability to lend more and cash flow to the operations.
Not only in terms of collection, but that's why I call it account management. So say for example, you have now an account or a client who actually just paid off at least 50% of his loan.
Okay, so
What's the opportunity?
Yes.
The opportunity is that you can actually top up already.
Yes, okay.
So that you don't lose that client.
Yes. It's a very valid point because you are talking about predictive capabilities already.
Exactly.
And then that predictive capabilities through data mining or certain pattern recognition will translate to prescriptive
Yes.
solutions for you, or it can be a additional product to recommend to them, or what specific product to recommend to this specific persona at this tenure of his loan.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, very valid. I think AI can do all of that.
Yeah.
Because the AI now is still, I would say, just from my observation, still stuck with that descriptive point of view.
Yes.
It didn't graduate actually to
Correct.
that prescriptive
But that's
part.
a very good point that you brought up, Sir Jeff, because AI actually has the capability to do that, but because for financial institution to apply all this, we have to go through a certain steps of compliance and regulatory clarity, so to speak, right? And I think until today, there has not been an AI framework yet launched in the Philippines. It's in the process, I know. It's in the process. I know the person that's actually drafting it personally, so I will be able to give some insights when is it going to come out. But however, that does not stop RFC as a micro lender to lead the pack. That's what I'm trying to say. From my perspective, from my collaboration with your team here in RFC, Sir Donald and Sir Jeff, is that I've seen that you have the leadership position right now, capable to lead in terms of infusing AI into your organization in the right way, with the right values. And I think through our further collaboration in the future, I hope to actually we do something, we pilot something together, and to develop that model that you spoke of, which is actually doable, but it has to come from the data owner side.
Yep.
To create this engine and definitely to lead the way to create more exciting products for your customer base in the future.
Yeah, I have one last comment for myself.
Great.
From a perspective of a business owner or a business leader, we talk about improving efficiencies, saving costs, right? I always look at AI to address scalability. And that's always the worry of business leaders. How do I scale up my business? The market's huge, as we discussed, but how do I address that in a way that my organization can meet up the expectations of the volume that I'm going to draw in? Because you're going to draw in, if you're not able to serve it, it's going to get lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So someone else is going to take it up.
True. So
Opportunity loss.
AI, for me, addresses that one thing that is difficult, because you can scale up with hiring so many people, but you cannot hire that many people at the speed at which the volume comes in.
Correct.
So AI should be able to address that. And more business means more profit. If you're efficient, that's the way you are set up today.
I think those are very valid points that a very big, large institution, may not be financial institutions, are actually applying that based on what your comment is exactly what they're doing, because they just want to scale. They want to serve more people with the least cost. And technology normally helps you achieve that. So that's great. So Jeff, any last words before we wrap up this episode?
I'm great. Yeah.
You're good?
I think we've discussed a lot already
Yeah.
about AI. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a great conversation
It's a pleasure.
with
It's a
you,
pleasure.
Sir Donald and Sir Jeff. I'm very happy that we made this happen. And I think the value that we're providing and the insights that we're providing to our audience and to the partners in the ecosystem for us to kind of lead the way to provide clarity in the marketplace, what can be done and how technology should be implemented in the right way to serve not only our customers, but also to our employees to enrich everybody's life all around us. And I think that will be the best business model moving forward into the 21st century.
Agreed.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and it's been a pleasure. A big thank you again to Sir Donald and to Sir Jeff for actually allowing us to host this podcast in their office in central Manila. And we look forward to joining you guys again in the next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mabuhay.
Mabuhay.